Hey y'all, Alpha here, and tonight we are going to live like it's not really our life with a little game called Alter Ego. So basically how this works is the game is divided into 6 or 7 chapters, I forget exactly how many, and each chapter represents a phase of your life, from infancy all the way up to old age. You'll be given scenario stories which you can play out according to a series of choices. I would like to make this an eventual series with different members of my Discord server. I will be working on that after I finish this run. That way I can provide a demonstration for everybody as to how this would work. So you have a choice as to building your personality. The computer can do it. The computer can build and let you look it over, or you can build one on your own. If you choose to build one on your own, you start with a true or false questionnaire. I will probably try to answer these questions honestly. True. I am likely to speak whatever comes to mind. In the past, yes. In most recent times, not really. Mainly because I would rather show whatever's on my mind, so I'm going to say false. I'm a light sleeper who stirs at even the slightest sound. Yes. Revenge is sweet. I mean, for me, revenge isn't so much about satisfaction as much as it is about teaching a lesson. So I'm not so sure sweet is the word I would apply for it one way or the other. So I will say false. I often feel slow, tired, and down in the dumps. Honestly, not really. An important part of every job is knowing whom to impress. Yeah, fair. It's their criteria for impressing that may leave something to be desired. I'm fascinated by car accidents and other disaster scenes. I mean, they're neat enough to look at, but not enough to really rubberneck on it. The people who know me best like me as a person. I mean, seems to be true, to be perfectly honest. And I'm sure most of my server would vouch for that. I'm extremely sensitive to criticism. More like I usually honestly ignore criticism. I get nervous performing in front of people, even when the task is something I know by heart. The people around me seem happier than I do. I mean, I'm pretty happy with my own life, and I don't pay enough attention to people in general to tell you otherwise, so going on my own happiness, I will say false. I often get the urge to touch walls on which wet paint signs are hung. Again, not really. When I am ill, I become short-tempered and snap at people. It happens, and there are times when it doesn't happen. I mean, honestly, if I'm going to be short-tempered at somebody, it's going to be whether I'm well or not, so I'm going to say false. On important matters, I usually follow my parents' advice even when I disagree with it. Most of the time, truth be told, they've been there, so going with it has helped me more than it hasn't, although, let me say, the record is not perfect. It is possible that we live in a world where people can watch our every move. I myself live like there's a camera behind me at all times. I believe it. When I'm in a quiet place, I get the urge to scream. I don't really have any desire to break that quiet. It's okay to tell a white lie if it is guaranteed to bring great personal gain. Don't believe lying is the answer to anything. It is often pointless to try to discuss problems with other people. I think that's entirely false. Some people may not be receptive to it, but as a whole principle, that's a pretty healthy way to get a problem out in the open. I am easily embarrassed. Again, living like there's a camera behind me and not particularly caring. I could be completely stark naked in public and I really would not care. False. Children should be seen and not heard. Definitely false. Not a good way to cultivate the future. I find it difficult to break the ice in conversations with people I barely know. This one, once true, but I've had enough practice with people I don't know that I feel a little more comfortable being able to have that first conversation with them, so false. My parents were strict disciplinarians. I mean, if we screwed up, they would punish, but not like anything completely ridiculous. I'll say false. You can usually judge a person by first impressions. Oh, that one is tough. That's really, really tough. The thing is, first impressions at that time are the only thing that you see of them. So this is really kind of going to go into the realm of second chances. And there is one member of my server who did not get a good first impression off me, and yet gave me a chance to show that that was completely a competitive act. And here we sit now. That person knows who they are. I'm not gonna mention names here, so I will say false. One way of getting people to treat you fairly is to take an aggressive stance and make them win you over. That's actually a very good way to push them away justifiably, or have them go justifiably as a result. I think the questions like this are stupid and meaningless. I completely disagree. Alright, so, bearing all of those answers in mind, we are going to start at birth and infancy, so there are 7 chapters, as you see here. Every man is the architect of his own fortune. Okay. So, you start on birth and infancy, you are given your very first scenario. Let's see if you can work out what that scenario is. You are in a warm, dark, comfortable place. This has been your place since you became aware that you are alive. It's almost time to enter a different world now. Well, I'm going to try and go upon my own personal history as far as I can remember it, or was told it. So for this scenario, obviously we're still in the womb, yet to come out. And the way my story went was that I was in a big, big hurry to come out. As a matter of fact, I believe I was a couple days before due date. And the reason it was such a fight for me to come out was because my umbilical cord was not only short, but it was wrapped around my neck on my way out. So I'm not sure it was so much my fighting that made it difficult, but it was a fight, so figure the most accurate thing would be come out fighting. You may be a fighter, but your mom wants you out with more energy than you have to stay in. You will find that anything of value in life is worth fighting for. This fight ends in a draw. You are evicted, but your mom is pooped. Soon you meet her and snuggle up nice and close. All is forgiven. For now. Get ready to be born in a flurry of waving arms, screams, and a slap on the bottom. Happy birthday, and welcome to the world. From now on, life will begin to change rapidly. You will have to learn to accept responsibility, build up your resources, and manage yourself physically and emotionally. The events that transpire over the course of the next few days include: your rich Aunt Martha places a $500 bond in trust for you. You are the most beautiful baby in the maternity ward, and everyone takes your picture. Your father buys you a baseball bat and glove for you to use in a year or so, when you get older. So, here's the general scenario in every chapter. You have a tree of events. The easiest way to finish a chapter is to complete this tree, but there will be other options besides doing that as we continue onward. All right. I'm going to proceed in my story through the normal tree of stories and leave the options to the sides to everybody else to play. All right, so let's see what we can do. So you can see your age with the hourglass. You begin the first chapter after birth at 2 months. Of course, that window's kind of meaningless because you can see that on the first screen of the sphere status on the upper left. Name, age, occupation, which earliest you can get that is adolescence, and same for relationship status. So here are your opening stats based upon your questionnaire. Vocational, which is work-related and doesn't start till Chapter 3, is always 55% to start out, no matter what else. Familial, basically how... excuse me. Basically, how close are you with your parents, the rest of your family? Intellectual, how smart are you? Physical, 83%. Basically, how's your body? Like, how are you health-wise? Social, how are you with other people outside of your family? All of these are in the low 80s, which is actually a pretty good overall start. May very well be one of the best you can have. And this is basically your mental state divvied down. Calmness, confidence, both pretty low. I mean, it's true, when I was younger, I didn't have much of either. Trustworthiness is generally going to be right down the middle no matter what, because you haven't done anything of true consequence yet. Expressiveness, gentleness, happiness, thoughtfulness, for my answers, all landed pretty high. So I was pretty much polarized from a young age just in terms of different facts about myself. You start out with somewhere between $500 and $600 of money, which doesn't get touched until Chapter 3 begins. And acquisitions, basically belongings. You can buy stuff with your money if you so desire. All right. So here's the deal. Each block represents a story. Let's see if I can make a determination here. I believe I could be mistaken about this, but I believe this box where I have the arrow here that kind of looks like a jack-in-the-box kind of thing, I've never been able to figure that out. I believe that has to do with family relations. The group of people, social. Actually, I don't know. Well, I can tell you the vocational box is a guy carrying a briefcase, basically a guy in a suit. I think the group is social. The brain is intellectual. The X-ray up here counts as a physical. No, I really don't know what that special box is. I guess I'll figure that out later. All right, story 1. A woman walks into a room holding a blanket and a bottle with warm white liquid. So this is obviously Mom with your feeding bottle. I mean, my mom breastfed, and I don't think I ever heard a story that I was a fight during that, so go with happy and coo. Nothing like a nice warm bottle and a quick hug from Mom to get a kid ready to face the world. As she walks toward you with the bottle, she sees you smiling and interprets this as a sign that you want to play with her. She picks you up and holds you for 10 minutes. This presents you with quite a dilemma. I really don't know how I was in terms of being held. I'm pretty neutral about it nowadays. In the event of a draw, I may as well go with the optimistic side. Having to delay being fed is uncomfortable, but you are beginning to learn how important human contact is for survival. Your overall stress level increases, but socially you score a big plus. Yep, so social goes up a little bit. Happiness actually took a little tank. Keep track of the percentages, guys. I'll basically show you what certain decisions do to certain stats, at least early on in the game. You don't have very many skills yet. Matter of fact, life is pretty boring. I know I was always restless and irritable. So actually, let me see if I can present a conflict of interest here. Restless and irritable, and then sleep. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't like the combination of choices that you've made. It'll tell you inappropriate, select again. Feel like you're going stir crazy? I can just imagine. The room is filled with bright colors, but you have trouble focusing on any of them. Keep the inquisitive nature alive. You look around and see a large blur about 11 inches away from your eye. Every once in a while it moves. Hey, wait a minute. Just as you had that thought, it moved again. Congratulations, you found your hand. This may not seem like much of a big discovery, but it is. You will have to learn how to control your hands as part of childhood development. When you are an adolescent, those hands are going to get you into quite a bit of trouble because that requires a different kind of hand control. Oh, yay for the foreshadow. Lying on your stomach in the crib, you notice an interesting object an arm's distance away. It has a round shape at the top and a ring on the bottom. Oh, hold on, there's a little bit of a problem here. Interesting. Yeah, doesn't look like it's fatal. I'll address it later. So, what could this object be? Well, let's do what I would do as a child and reach for the thing. You have the fighting spirit of your Uncle Bill. You sneak and crawl on your belly like a combat soldier heading into battle. You reach your destination, grasp the rattle confidently, and drool on it in victory. Intellectual sphere shows a marked increase. I was something of a destroyer then. I would be the one to shake it. This is terrific fun. You spend a good amount of time shaking the rattle and then fall asleep, exhausted by the long trek from one end of the crib to the other. Intellectual has taken a nice jump. Confidence has gone up. All right. These are all generics. Well, I can see this being a minor problem. Do I have a way to off one of these games? It looks like it's going to give me some trouble saving until I can figure out how in the world to knock the droid protection off. Okay, plan B. Instead of making a full-blown run of this on my own, I'm going to save a good chunk of the surprise for when other people decide to play it. And what I'll do is I'll run this first chapter, make that the game, and then we'll do the Alter Ego series. So let's move on. You are lying on the floor of a big room on a soft, furry blanket. You're on your back staring at shadows that sometimes creep across the ceiling. Every so often, Mom or Dad passes by and makes a funny face. Your hands grope in all directions, and your feet pat the floor gently, almost out of your control. What would I have been, really? Just being the attention fiend I would do something like this. This maneuver is a little too difficult to accomplish at your present age. You can roll about halfway to one side. I'll just do one more because I really do need to address the issue with saving that we seem to have here. I think I have some idea why it's acting that way, but I will deal with it off camera. You are lying down in your crib and are greeted by a nosy neighbor who has a child just about your age. The neighbor says, "My, look at that funny little nose." She turns to your mother and adds, "Don't worry, dear. I hear that noses are the last thing to truly look human." She picks you up. I would not have been happy about this. A nice puddle of saliva has formed on the inside of your mouth. Splash! A gooey stream showers your neighbor's face and hands while you give her a glassy-eyed smile. She places you back in the crib and excuses herself. Well, at the very least, that's enough to give an idea how this is done. So, as to not spoil too much, I'm going to end it here and address some apparent technical issues that we're having here. This has been a very brief AlphaStarDX hit. Tune in tomorrow night for a special surprise whose name I'm not going to mention just yet. Excuse me. Have an alpha night.